All right, guys, episode number 99. We're going to talk about a little bit of a Muleskinner recap, and then we're going to get into some Unbound tire talk.
Wouldn't be another year of the SufferSooner podcast without some tire talk.
Yeah, so I think it's time.
I
think we've held off long enough.
I know, right? You see all the online debates going on, and it's just like every year.
It's getting out of control now.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was looking through the Unbound page, and people are starting to just freak.
Everybody's a meteorologist now.
Now they're professional meteorologists. They've studied the weather patterns for Kansas for the last 50 years, and they kind of know what's going on. So
yeah, well, I mean, one thing's for sure: it's either going to rain or it's not. So you just got to deal with it. So.
Yeah, I think the whole idea is manage what you can, especially if you're doing Unbound and you're worried about the conditions. Worry more about is your bike in good working order? Is it shifting well? Do you have enough backups? Do you have enough contingency plan for if it is muddy, if it's not muddy? Like what are you planning on doing? Do you have to reevaluate expectations?
Right.
So that's just what you can do because you can't control the weather. The weather is going to be what it's going to be, and you can either rise to the occasion or like sink down to the mud and the muck and just have a horrible time.
That's why we keep saying it every year. Open range is the crucible. It makes you immune to any weather condition.
Yep.
So anyway, cool. So you want to maybe touch on Muleskinner? We'll just hit on that, and we did a little quick recap on the way home. But let's hit it.
Yeah, I had a little bit more time to think about it. Like right after the race, I always it's kind of hard. Like
it is.
Depending on where you finish and how you finish and how well you do or how not well you do, you kind of think about stuff, and there's some positives and some negatives, and mostly I tend to focus on the negatives. So I
got to get a few days for those to settle down.
I got to kind of get some time in between and just kind of think like, okay, it was Again, it wasn't a negative race. It's a race. It's a good race. It's fun. I had a lot of fun this time.
Yeah.
And it was, it went basically how I planned it to go, and there's not really much to
say about it.
Yeah, when you execute the plan, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that worked.
It did it. Yeah. I think we were talking afterwards. As far as difficulty goes, yes, it's a difficult race. It feels like it's always up or down, right? Especially in the back half. And I would say I felt pretty good when we finished. It's like last year I felt kind of wrecked. I think probably because we went out a little too hard. And I think the goal this year was really pace it a little bit differently. And there's a certain point where you just can't pace it anymore.
You have to
you just have to do what the terrain tells you to do.
Yep.
And, it was nice because PR'd just about all the major sections, or climbs, if you will. And so from that perspective, it's like, hey, I mean, all positives, right? I was disappointed that overall time was slower, and I think we talked about the headwinds and all that kind of stuff. But even then, still, it just felt like a little disappointing for the times to be slower. But when I just compared the numbers, overall power, power was up from last year at this time. So average power was good. I felt like I had the energy and the legs, except after those big climbs, because I've been complaining to you, and I say complaining. I've been complaining to you a lot about I don't feel like the top end is where it needs to be, and it's definitely not. There's no question about that, which is fine because, when you put Unbound as your A race for the year, you don't need the top end as much, so that's okay. But I felt like I got really cooked on those hills, the bigger, steeper grades. I felt like I got really cooked on them and didn't really have the rebound that I wanted. So it's a little frustrating, but it's what it is right now. And but overall, I felt like I paced this far better than any version of this race last year, and then any other kind of race like it. I feel like I paced it well. So not the result I was hoping to get or wanted, but that's okay. It's how it goes sometimes. So.
Yeah, I was just one of the things I was thinking about on just over the last couple of days was like, should I have worked a little harder to get further up the road into a better group
earlier in the race? You mean?
Earlier in the race.
I think call.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things like racing comes down to, the decisions that you don't make, and, the decisions that you make at the time you feel like are a great a great idea, and then you kind of look back on them and you're like, was that a good idea? So again, if I would have pushed the beginning a little bit harder, gotten to a better group, not to say that, the group that I was in was bad or anything.
No,
It's just they were moving a little slower than normal. So
yeah, we hit a section after one of the aid stops, and you put a little push in, and it was right there. I think it's right by Devil's Backbone, if I remember right. And you started to go up the road a little bit, and I looked down. I was like, I'm just not going to match that power right now. It's just not where I wanted to be. And I think if it was a different day, could I have followed you and stuck with you? I might have stuck with you through the climb, but I would have definitely fallen off shortly thereafter, and I just would have been wrecked afterwards. So it didn't make a lot of sense. I was like, no, my goal here was to pace. And when I saw you push, that's when I knew you were having a pretty good day. But again, you were still staying in your targets and your numbers. You weren't like.
I was just usually when I push, it's that I'm pushing to the base of the climb, ahead of the group, just so that I can climb at my pace.
Because you don't want them cresting and going over and down the other side, and you're still halfway up there.
Yeah, so and I always just pull to the right because I know they're coming up, and then so I just I pushed a little hard, got onto Devil's Backbone, and then was just pacing myself, and then the group caught up with me, and then there was like an aid station at the top, and they all pulled off. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was just by myself, and I was like, all right, well, then I'll just do my own thing, and it worked out. And, it was, it was one of those things where like, again, I go back to when you execute the race, there's not really like
not a lot to talk about.
Not a lot to talk about because the execution was well done. You go back and you look at stuff and you go, okay, could I have gone harder? Sure. But then I risk blowing up at the end, which I saw a lot of people blowing up at the end, which is not what I wanted to have happen.
Same. So. I know I picked off several people coming back and just again holding the pace that I wanted. I don't have any issues with execution on my side either for this one. It was good. I will say, I think if I was going to actually race this, like if I was putting this down as a B race or maybe even a low A race, I would probably would have ran much skinnier tires. I think we said the same thing last year. I'd go back and look at our recap and my notes from last year, but I'm pretty sure we even said then like, hey, run skinnier tires on this course because for the most part, it's not super chunky. There's a couple of sections it gets. Yeah,
there's like one chunky section in the northern part, but after that, it's like maybe like 2 or 3 miles of chunk, and then after that, you're
home free.
You're home free. It's all buffed out, super fast.
Yeah, I think running some skinnier, lighter tires would not be a bad thing there, and probably pick up a little bit of time off that. But yeah. Anyway, not to belabor it, but. I think it did a good job of doing what it needed to do for Unbound prep. I did not blow myself up, which was really the number one goal is don't go in there and blow yourself up. Good pacing on the day, good overall power on the day, surged when I had to, felt good at the end. Call that a win.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and looking at the standings in the Gravel Cup, you're looking at a pretty solid race now. Between basically the top 7 have been either the top 10 in every single race that they've come into. Right. So there's
starting to solidify.
Yeah, it's not too much of a shakeup. There's not too much distance. There's from Jackson, who's a friend of the podcast, to the leader. There's like 4 points if you use the drop race. 5 points in overall. So he's got to hope. Not that he wants to hope for it, but you got to hope that leader has some kind of mechanical or something because
you need a little luck.
Yeah, you need a little bit of luck on your side, or he has like a horrible day at Solstice or Rock Ridge or something like that, where you can get 5 guys between you, but everybody is so consistent in that top 10 that it's looking like it's going to be pretty hard.
And they're all marked. I'm sure they've all marked each other, so they're all following the moves. So as long as you got the legs for the day, so. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be really interesting to see what happens after Solstice. Every race from here on out, to your point, unless somebody gets a a gap or has a rough day, I mean, it's gonna be hard to move in the standings. It's gonna be really tough.
Yeah,
So,
the same thing in the women's race too. They're separated by like 4 or 5 points between the leader and the second place lady. They're just again super consistent riding at every single race. So it makes this thing hard.
I think it's gonna force if you really want to take over, a couple of spots, you're going to have to, obviously these folks are all in a group, right? Both the men's and the women's, they've got to be in a group, and you're going to have to make some attacks and try to crack them and crack them early.
Yeah. You're going to have to make some alliances.
Yeah.
I think.
Because you can't do it on your own at this point, right? I mean, again, assuming the competitor has the legs for the day and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have to put the moves in. You're not going to be able to rely on just standard group tactics and hope they fall off, that kind of stuff. You're going to have to make your attacks and hope they stick. Because how else do you get 2, 3, 4 spots in between you and another person? It's, especially if all they got to do is follow your wheel. They're not making the attack.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting. I think the next couple of races, especially Solstice, with it just being the 100-mile, like it's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of some tactics at the front, trying to shake things up, and if it works, that'll be great.
It'll be interesting.
If not, it's just one of those things that it's just hard to shake.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be fun.
It's good.
Cool.
So that's about it for Muleskinner, and then now let's talk about Unbound. So
what? 2 weeks out? Is that right? Roughly 2 weeks out.
Yeah, roughly 3 weeks out.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, the big debate right now is, somebody, again, like we alluded to, has become the professional meteorologist for the area and has, done all their research and, compiled AI-generated weather maps. And basically they're thinking it's going to be another mud year.
Yeah. Well,
so again, everybody's freaking out.
It's funny that everybody thinks it's a mud year and we don't even know what the roads are yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it might be a mud year already and it hadn't even rained yet.
Yeah. So at the time of recording this, they haven't released the route yet.
Yeah. So. That's right. We're expecting it any time during the week. So.
Yeah. Any moment now.
Yeah. And, as soon as that comes out, I mean, everybody's going to be pouring over that thing. And then we have ambition to go down and scout out a few areas, and we'll be kind of reporting back to folks here. But I do think that, one thing's for sure, if it rains down there, you're going to run into mud, but it obviously is going to have a huge effect on what your tire choice is.
Yep.
It's funny because the bike industry is pushed so hard to go, I should say like the tire industry pushed so hard to get wide tires. Most people's frames don't support that, and people don't buy frames that often. And then even the newer frames, I mean, depending on the brand you go with, some of the frames, like they still just haven't quite caught up with where the tire direction's going. So you run into this situation where it's like people are like myself trying to run a 50 millimeter tire on a frame that's designed to run a 47. And does it fit? Yeah, it fits, but barely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, and same. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to run a 50 on a frame that fits maybe a 48.
Yeah.
So
on a good day.
On a good day.
That's right.
So, some of the things that I would consider, and this is of course we think about the tires and the tire choice and all that stuff. The things that you got to think about for Unbound is if it's muddy, it doesn't matter which tire you have. It's not going to shed the peanut butter mud. It's just not. It's just not going to happen. Like I don't care if you run 28s. Eventually, those will pack up with enough mud that you'll just be rubbing the frame.
Yeah, the mud just becomes part of the tire.
Yeah. And those of us who have experienced it know it. It doesn't matter what you're running. It's going to clump up and it's going to stick to itself. And for whatever reason, it sticks to everything.
It does.
It's a pain. So it's like, when we were talking about what we're going to talk about on this episode is we're kind of just doing like two schools of thought here. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking if it's dry and fast, then we'll go with our regular tire choice.
Wide tires,
fast rolling,
more air volume, higher speeds, ideally, a little bit lower rolling resistance, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you try to save all the stuff you can on a dry course.
Yep.
So you're gonna look for one that rolls really well.
Yep.
For the conditions, you're gonna make your choice whether or not you want to go with more puncture protection,
Yeah.
or you want to go with, faster but knobbier on the side, or you just want to go full smooth, whatever you choose, right? You're going to have one choice that's for the fast day,
Right.
when conditions are perfect,
Right.
right? And then what, we're deciding is, for some of us, like me, I have an extra set of wheels.
Yeah.
And those ones are going to have basically my mud tire setup.
Yeah. So that extra set of wheels, it's they're not aero wheels.
They're
just
not
old school aluminum wheels.
That basically I could taco that thing and I would not be upset.
Wouldn't be too upset. And I kind of wish I had a similar setup, because it is nice to have an extra set of wheels that you can just throw a set of tires on and just call that your mud day, right?
Yep.
Because like we talked about, once you start putting the peanut butter mud into the equation, there's really there aren't very many sections where you're going to get a true aero gain or a true traction gain, because whatever gains you think you're getting wiped out in those mud sections.
Yeah.
And could you gain minutes, seconds, minutes in drier sections with some of these tire choices? Maybe, probably, but like I said, mud's kind of the neutralizer, and once that starts to stick to your frame and everything, the aerodynamics are thrown out.
Yeah, because if you let's say you're using the best rolling resistance and the best aero tire or wheel, and that saves you, let's say a minute over 50 miles.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you spend 10 minutes cleaning all the mud out of your frame
Right.
and your bike because you went through the mud,
exactly,
then you've just lost all those gains.
The great neutralizer.
Yeah. So. Again, it's not like we're saying that you're going to end up riding through the mud sections. It's that you're going to end up walking just like everybody else. It's just how easy is it going to be for you to clear the mud from your tires?
And how often do you have to do it too?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if I'm running the 50s and I get a little bit of mud on the tire, if it sticks a little bit,
You're done.
It's starting to rub the frame, so I have to pull over and fix it. So it's basically, if it's
And
pretty much
don't be
dry.
Don't be that guy that's like just trying to muscle through it, and then you wonder why your derailleur rips off, or why you wear a hole in the carbon frame.
I don't understand that. That's some people treat their gravel bikes like they're monster trucks,
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, dude, that's a mountain bike.
You're right.
If you want a monster truck, you
Go buy a mountain bike.
Yeah, go buy
we'll
a
see
mountain
some
bike.
out there.
Yeah, we'll see some out there. There'll
Yeah.
be somebody that wants to ride it, which is totally fine. But again, for all the mud sections, you're going to end up walking those anyways.
Yeah.
So it just matters on how you feel about cleaning your bike after the mud section.
That's right.
And so that's why I'm going with my second set of tires, the mud tires, skinnier, because then I can deal with a little bit of mud buildup and not have to worry. So like if there's a small patch of mud where it's like, let's say it's maybe a quarter mile or a couple 100 yards, I could get through that.
And maybe it sheds it too.
Yeah, and it'll shed it.
Yeah.
But if I use the big tires and I go through, and this is the same if it's the dry year and somehow we cross some area that's super muddy, but it's, because it's wet, there's a spring or something. I mean, I still have to stop and fix it. So,
yeah, and it's definitely a gamble. And it's it's a bit crazy because we're going to see so many people guessing at what the weather's going to do over the next few weeks and wringing their hands over what might happen or what might not happen. And the reality is if you plan now and say, hey, I've got my mud tires that I'm happy with, if I'm a mud year and this is what I have to prepare for, I've got the setup.
Yep.
And if it's a dry year, I've got the setup. And even though I don't have a second set of wheels, I'm prepared that the week of, if there's rain in the forecast and say, like even as late as Wednesday or Thursday night, if I need to make a tire change, I'm making a tire change.
Yep.
And I'll have no problem with that because I've tested my dry setup and I've tested my mud setup. And I'm ready for either one. And I don't really care what happens because, at the end of the day, you have to have the approach and the strategy figured out now. And that's why I think people get so wrapped up in it. But yeah, as far as like predicting the weather and all that, who cares?
Yeah.
It's going to be what it is.
And and the other thing too is like maybe it does rain and maybe I decide to just run the 50s.
Well, that's something we talked about.
And it's just like, I'm going to walk those sections anyways, but maybe I just, every time I think there's going to be some mud or I see like there's a chance that there's going to be a muddy section, I just hop off and walk and not even think about it.
I think that's going to depend on the course itself. And that's why I'm really excited to see, when the course gets released, we get a chance to pour over the roads. We know most of the roads out there well enough, like, hey, that's one that we know can get pretty muddy. And obviously we're going to go scout it out a little bit in advance, but we're going to get a good idea of how many miles of the road or of the course are going to be susceptible to this peanut butter mud we're talking about. And that's going to help make the decision too. Cause you may find out, hey, I can run the 50s because we're only going to be on maybe we're only going to be on like 5 miles of walkable section, and which we were about a few years back. And we already know what that takes, but maybe I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to walk it anyway. So I'd rather be comfortable and maybe faster rolling on the other sections and just, hey, I'm not going to risk it. When I get to that section, I'm just going to dismount and go about my way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think, there's plenty of people that like say, oh, this is the best tire that,
Sure.
Again, I'm not one of those people. Like, you should ride a tire that you feel confident in, because I've ridden tires that I've not felt confident in, and even though they are faster, the fact that I don't feel confident with them, I'm just like, I can't trust it. I can't trust that it's going to corner. I can't trust that it's not going to get a puncture over the smallest rock, or even looking at a piece of glass or something, it's going to get a flat.
Right.
So there's sometimes where you have to go with what you're comfortable with. So I'm not sitting here going like, oh, you should buy, the Dub Natals or, this or that. It's like, ride what you feel the most comfortable with, and the stuff that you've trained with, and you've poured over the decision to make them, to make that tire choice. Yeah. And just be okay with it.
So that being said, which tires are you looking at?
So again, I'm running, my 50s are the Schwalbe RS Pro ones.
Yeah, and I've got the RX Pro. I was confused.
Yeah, Danny's got the 50s that have the tread in the middle. I have the ones that don't have the tread in the middle. They're smooth in the middle. Right. Okay. The puncture protection, of course, looking at rolling resistance and all that stuff.
I mean, by the data, Travis, your puncture protection here is you're 1-for-1 with punctures and Schwalbe tires. Yeah. On
so
races.
do I not trust them? Do I do I throw them to the trash bin? No. Again, I think a lot of times, punctures can be avoided. Sure. And I know that's going to be a hot topic, but if you have proper
line choice is everything.
Line choice again, but if you're riding in a group, you don't get a choice of the line, right?
Not many times.
But you have to pay attention to what's going on in front of you, right? So if you see people's heads bobbing or people dodging stuff, could be a clue that there's something up there, right? To look out for. And sometimes just that kind of stuff happens. Again, somebody rolls over a rock, instead of it, it flips up, and then now it's the sharp side's up instead of being down, and you're the next toss guy, and so again, I don't think that you could run the most puncture protection tires out there and still get a flat in the Flint Hills. Absolutely. It's just a coin toss.
Yeah, and I think so you're going to run those 50s with the little smoother center tread.
Yes.
And at least that's the going in position.
Yeah, so right now. So we're planning on going the week before Unbound and riding sections of the course. If nothing happens and I have faith in those tires, then I'll probably run those on race day. Right. If not, then I'll run the tried and true specialized tracers that I've run last year on the North Course.
And I know we don't get into a lot of the brands very often here because again, we are huge proponents of it. It's got to be something you're comfortable with, and we've developed a lot of trust in the specialized tires, but just because we've ridden them so much over the years. But what's interesting about those tires is we looked it up on rolling resistance and all that. And they are a slow tire. Yeah. There's just no way around it. Now, what's interesting is they got a lot of pros that win on them. So makes you kind of wonder, how much do you trust the rolling resistance data, and does it apply in a real life setting?
So maybe in a straight course, rolling resistance matters. But in a course that has turns, that has rocks, who has different terrain conditions, you want kind of a tire, again, that you can feel comfortable in.
So a good case of that, though, is we ran Specialized Pathfinders for a long time. And then last year, we both made the switch to the Tracer. I think you had Terras, I had the Tracers or something like that. But they're both basically the same tire. I think the Terras are just a little bit knobbier, but all intents and purposes are the same tire for what we're using them for. And so we developed, I think, at least I'll speak for myself, developed a lot of confidence in that tire because the extra little knobs that are there, so much more grip than the Pathfinder, to the point that I've when I first switched over to them, I'm like, man, these kind of feel a little slower. They feel a little sluggish. But the more I've ridden them, I'm like, I love these tires. And the fact that I feel like I can just rail into a corner and like I'm on rails, I'll just zip through the apex of that corner. I feel good about it. We did a race earlier in the year where I switched back to the Pathfinders, and I couldn't do that anymore.
Yep.
And I lost a lot of confidence in riding on the Pathfinders because of that. Like not because the Pathfinder's a bad tire. It's a great tire, but I don't feel comfortable on that tire anymore.
Right,
in
exactly.
a dry condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is like the right tire choice comes down to what you feel comfortable on and what you trust. Like if you think your tire's going to pop, have a flat, and it's not the best tire, and you have that in your head, then you're going to be a little bit more timid as you're riding. And chances are you may not get a puncture, but you could have maybe gone a little bit harder, or you could have, gone a little bit faster through some stuff. So again, that confidence in your tire choices is kind of what we're talking about. Again, you can listen to, every other podcast out there talking about tires, and they're going to recommend a different tire. Yeah. Every single one of them.
Sure. And that's why I think the only way is you talk to people that you ride with, and you kind of listen to their feedback. What do we do? Anytime you or I have tried a new tire, like I asked you a couple of weeks ago, like, well, other than the puncture, like, how did you like those tires? And you loved them, right?
Yeah, I thought they were great.
Yeah, and they were a little slippery in the corners, right? Because
which is fine.
They got that tread, right? That's that flat tread in the center. So yeah, you expect that.
Yeah, And again, it was my line choice, that caused the puncture.
Oh yeah, not even the puncture, but
again, it wasn't. That's why I'm gonna give them another shot. It's not like they just found that rock.
It's not like you looked at them and they went flat.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've had tires like that where I've just kind of looked at them and like.
We had a tire that came on a it was like the standard tire on. I think it was on my Dark Matter when I had that Dark Matter. Was it the Challenge tire, the factory tire that came with it? And like you rode those things like on the Dark Matter you had. I think you had those tires, and for whatever reason that year you rode those things till they were almost bald. Like you could see cables coming out of the damn things. The ones I had, like I swear, if I looked at them wrong, they were going to flatten out right there. Looking at it. They were super thin. They felt, at least to me, they felt thin, and I didn't really know that until I got a different tire. I'm like, oh, these are tires, but again, those are trade-offs that you would make. Now, but I don't know if I just got like a tough set, because like the ones you ran, man, they were great.
Yeah,
those were
They
good tires.
finally basically exploded. Like so, I ran them so long and so hard, and like I hit like a pothole like 3 weeks before, like really hard, and then the next thing I know, like we're out riding, and where I hit that pothole like separated the rubber, and then eventually just blew the tread right off the tire. So it was like it just completely failed. Yeah. So again, I had all the confidence in the world on those tires. But in triathlon, I've used the Victoria Corsa Cotton, I think is what they are, and they are dead fast tires. They are crazy fast. Yeah. But if I even looked at them wrong, or didn't baby wipe them, just right, they would flat. Yeah. They would just get like
you definitely do not want to hit a pothole on those.
Yeah, they were just not good. And so I ran them, I think 1 year, and I think I went through like 3 sets of tires. Yeah. And I was just like, I am not doing this. Because like after every race, I'd go out on a training ride afterwards, and for some reason the sidewall
probably the definition
slashed.
of a race tire, right? Like one race and you're done.
And so I was just like, I can't do this. So I went for a more robust tire for that. But again, it's all about again, I'm a bigger guy. I can't ride like thinner tires or lighter pressures or any of that. So I have to run a little bit heavier setup, and that's fine. But again, it's all about that trust in the tire. Yeah. And I think that once you build that confidence, and you're riding the best tires for you, you can go out to the course and accept what it has to offer. Yeah.
And so we talked about for the mud setup, kind of gone back and forth on, do you go with like if you go with say like a Pathfinder 45, which has that flat, very low tread design, very slick design, versus a Tracer that has more of the knobs. Like if you're worried about mud, it's like I mean, at that point, traction is not even a factor, is it? Like,
Right.
Like if you think you're going to be walking, you're not using your tires, so who cares? And I think at that point you go with, well, I would probably go with, well, what's the tire that that is fastest on the rest of the course, but I don't really care about the traction, if that makes sense. Like I might, and actually, which one's going to help you shed the mud the best, right? And you mentioned that earlier. So there's a lot to factor in that situation, right? And it's just like, so I don't know. I mean, you can almost get down to a point where I just flip a coin on them, unless you just have a real difference in how you perceive the tire itself.
Yeah.
You know.
So. Yeah, I think with the mud tire, you know, I'm just kind of looking at like, what do I have kind of lying around that I could use that's durable that I could trust 200 miles of Flint Hills on.
Yeah.
But again, I'm looking at like like a 45 or something like that, so that it's plenty of clearance. So if I do stack up a little bit of mud, I can at least keep rolling.
The comfort side's going to take a hit. That's for
yeah,
sure.
and that's the thing that like my lower back. I start thinking. I look at the 45s, and my lower back just starts to tense
So
up.
you're telling me I just need I need to hope for a lot of rain, so it's a mud year. So Travis can't be comfortable, and then maybe I have a chance to beat it this year at Unbound.
Yeah, I mean, could happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to watch. First, watch all the meltdowns online. That's going to be fun to watch. But then beyond that, though, it's going to be really interesting to see the course. That's the first thing I'm looking for. I just want to see the course. I want to see
that's what makes the difference, right?
Yeah.
That should influence your tire choice more than the weather.
Is it M Road out there? Is that the mud road? The M Road?
Yeah,
H,
something like that.
I can't remember. I know it if I saw it, and I know if I saw it on a route, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And to me, it's like if they send us through that one, that was the one that we were 11 miles in last year, and we got to walk
for 5.
Yeah. And if they send us on that road again, which they could, I mean, you know, then if that road's even anywhere on the route, then you just expect to mud year.
Yep.
If there's any rain at all, because that road will not drain.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it should just be a lake there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's just whatever reason it just holds on to it so bad. So.
But yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that probably didn't really help people make a decision, because you're like, well, what did you actually tell me? Well, I think the reality is you better be prepared for both.
Yep.
And you better have, and if you haven't developed confidence in a set of mud tires, because you're like, well, I don't ride in mud. Well, there's step number one. You need to go out and ride in poor conditions, you know, and just get comfortable with things. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, just go with something that gives you more clearance and that you have confidence in.
Yeah.
That's the key. Don't worry about anything else, because all the rolling resistance, aerodynamics, none of that stuff matters anymore.
Yep.
You're in a whole different game now.
Because you're, you know, when you factor in your time for walking for 5 miles, you know, that's thrown out the window.
Yeah. You might as well, be better off looking at the tread on your shoes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, nobody's going to be making up time or trying to ride through that section. Right. Again, it's just you can try it. And we saw a lot of broken derailleurs and a lot of broken dreams. 11 miles into the race. So,
and the number of people that complained afterwards about that. Like,
you know,
I paid so much money for this race. Yeah, you did. So did I.
Yeah, so did I. I made it to the end. It sucked the whole day.
It did.
Yeah, nothing's worse than you know, loading up with all your nutrition, and then you get to a mud section and you got to walk it, and it's just heavy. And
that's the other side of it too. That whole day was a mess because, you know, you plan on a certain number of hours to get to the next stop, and then when you have a 5-mile walk in there, you didn't build the nutrition plan around a 5-mile walk. No. And by the way, none of us knew that we were going to have a 5-mile walk. No. Like maybe people that really knew the area at that time could have forecasted that, but I don't think anyone expected a 5-mile walk. Yeah. So like that's why you carry emergency, like an extra hour's worth of nutrition for crazy stuff like that, because you just never know. So anyway.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, the best thing you can do, again, for this kind of stuff is make sure that you have, you know, your spares, you know, again, the bike is in really good working order, because, you know, any little bit of build up or any of that is just going to throw everything to the wolves and just crush it. Yeah.
So on this theme, you want to hit some rapid fire on it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we're gonna give ChatGPT another chance, another shot. So I've prompted ChatGPT with the same setup that we would use for Claude, and we're gonna give ChatGPT a chance today, and then we're gonna decide if this is stands up to the quad standard.
Yeah.
So the first one is every year somebody shows up to Unbound with the perfect tire setup, and yes, they do. We always hear about it. And every year Kansas still humbles them. Yes, it does. At what point are we overthinking tires instead of undertraining?
I think we're overthinking tires all the time.
Yeah.
I think
marginal gains.
Yeah, I think you can. Again, you can overthink tires to the point of just turning your head into a pretzel, basically. Like it's just too much.
Yeah.
So the best thing that you can do is, again, just ride what you have, and you have confidence in it.
That's exactly it. I think, I mentioned the marginal gains thing. I think people get so wrapped up in, like, there's a certain point of like at the pro level where I totally get tires probably make a major difference in outcome. And maybe even at the elite amateur level. I don't know if they make a major difference at the Unbound level for the age grouper. Yeah,
you're talking, like, let's say you're the tire that you're running now and the perfect tire whatever that is. Maybe there's 10 watts between the two tires.
Sure.
Basically, you get 5 watts from each tire.
Yeah.
So that's 10 watts of savings that you could get on the thing. So at the end of the race, I mean 200 miles, like
10 watts is a lot. It adds up.
It adds up for sure.
I mean, if you're somebody that holds 200 watts and you only got to hold 190, it's a noticeable difference.
It could be. Yeah. But again, you're looking at like what, a quarter mile faster?
I know. It's just not that much.
So at the end of 200 miles, so maybe you get 2 miles faster.
Sure. You get maybe an extra 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
5-10 minutes. Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, again, it just, not here to tell people how to spend their money, but there's a lot of things you could think about other than tires if it's not already something top of mind for you.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's so much other things to think about. So like one of my biggest things is the heat, right? And
right.
We looked at the weather and the forecast for this week and the
hot.
Next week, it's going to be 90 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm more worried about that than I am the rain.
I got to get the sauna going.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm like, if it's going to be 90 degrees out there, it doesn't matter what tires I'm running. I'm going to be taking a ditch nap at 2 in the afternoon.
I know, right? If it gets to 90, I might have to move my office outside so I can start acclimating because we didn't get that chance last year, man.
No, I paid for it.
Yeah.
And I've been, I've been hitting the sauna like a fucking madman. Sorry, children, if you had to hear that. But I've been hitting it because I do not want that to happen again.
Yeah.
So, and basically all my fueling strategies, my race pace strategies, all my strategies for Unbound are basically there to not get overheated.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's raining. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because it's cooler. It's going to be cooler.
I know.
But if it's hot,
I still,
that's when I'm going to suffer.
I'll never forget the ride when we were out there and it was just that blistering hot day, and then all of a sudden you could see the rain on the horizon and you're like, oh, please let that come over here.
Yes.
And then that rain just hit and it's like, oh, and then it started lightning. You're like, okay, that's a little bit much. But you made that, if I remember right, it was a left-hand turn and it went like a 30-mile-an-hour tailwind for a few miles. Like, oh my gosh, sweet relief.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot before that. It was so
hot. I was getting ready to just die, and then it started raining, and I, like a new lease on life.
That's right. It saved the race that day for me, man.
It saved my whole experience out there.
Yeah, because I was getting low on water. It was like to that point where we were just like, ooh, how much longer can I deal with this?
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, so what's the bigger beginner mistake? Running tires too narrow because you want to look fast, or too wide because you're scared of suffering? I would go with the too narrow here. I think out here, I know there's been this big debate about, how wide can tires get before it's too wide and all that. And there's a point. But I got to say, man, I was skeptical of going to the 50s. And there's certain points where I think the 50s might be a little too much. But I've ridden them so much now, they're just kind of the comfort spot for me.
Yeah.
And I go down to 45 or 47, I'd be fine. Man, if you had to put me back onto 38s or 42s,
yeah,
I don't know
just
about that.
Painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the the adage of, comfort and speed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the longer
for
you
specialized now.
Yeah. So basically the idea of, if you're comfortable, and we do this in triathlon too with with the aero setup, if your aero setup is comfortable, you're going to stay in it longer.
That's right.
And that's going to eventually pay off, better than
break-even point.
Yeah,
right?
better than the, most aero position, because if the most aero position isn't comfortable, you're not going to hold it for very long.
That's right.
And break aero all the time. So
Right.
if I have to pull over every 30 miles to stretch my back because the tires are, just destroying it, then what have I gained?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's see here. So if your Unbound tire setup only works in ideal conditions, is it actually a good setup or just fantasy football for cyclists?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the thing with Unbound is it's so unlike any other race, right? There's so many different sections. There's champagne gravel, there's MMR roads, there's creek crossings, there's muddy sections, there's big chunk rock shelves.
Right.
So it's like whatever tire you pick, you're going to be at a disadvantage for some section of it.
Exactly.
If you plan for the super chunky sections, you're going to be at a disadvantage on the fast rolling sections.
Exactly
if you plan just for the rolling sections, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage.
You will have the wrong setup somewhere on this course.
Yep, it's long enough, and there's so much varied terrain out there that whatever you choose, it'll work in some situations and not be the best choice in the others.
Exactly. Are expensive race tires making average riders mentally softer because they expect equipment to erase bad decisions?
That's a good question. Yeah. So, expensive race tires. I think the problem with tires is that, it's not like they're a carbon layup, and like there's, I know every tire brand has their super special secret compound that, only they have, and it's proprietary to them and the F1 racers that, are on the, racing cars and all this stuff. But again, that's so expensive for a set of rubber tires.
It is.
And it's just like, bro.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
Yeah, I do think people have developed these expectations in their head, like, oh, if I buy this, it's going to be the thing that it's for everything, not just tires. It's every piece of equipment. Like everybody, I guarantee, has gone
if
through
I
that
buy
phase.
this $13,000 bike,
Right.
I'll be able to ride Unbound, and nothing will happen.
Right. It's like there's a shield around.
Yeah,
it.
it's like, no, dude, that.
No, it just means you probably put a scratch in a $13,000.
Yeah,
bike.
that, or like I've seen people ride Unbound on like a Trek 5000 aluminum frame.
Rodeo Labs a few years ago when they went to Walmart and bought a bike, and they upgraded a few components on it, and then they went out and rode it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like, you can ride it on this kind of, you can ride any bike on Unbound.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a monster truck.
It is not.
It's a bike.
Yeah.
And usually I feel like the more expensive stuff is, the more niche it is. It's not an all-around thing. It's very...
Almost like that might be by design.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
This is the only part that it fits in
It's
right
gonna be
here.
more and more expensive products.
Yep.
All right, last one here. So deep down, what scares Unbound riders more? The possibility of a flat tire, or the possibility they train for months and still aren't tough enough for the day?
I think the flat tire.
Yeah.
I think that seems to be the consistency. I don't think it's something that you should be afraid of. I think most people think that like flat tires is the kind of the end of the day. You're like, it's all over. I've flatted. It's better just throw it in. I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't fix it, or if you try to rush it and you don't spend the time to fix it correctly, it could be the end of your day.
Could be.
But I think the thing that scares me most about Unbound is, I'm always afraid of like how much it's going to hurt, like just the whole thing, like how much I'm going to suffer out there. And if I've prepared myself enough for that. And that's what scares me the most, not the tire stuff. I can deal with the tire stuff again,
as long as it's repairable,
and even then I'm like, do I, sew my own tire up? Like,
I mean, if it's a catastrophic failure, can I find some way to get it safe enough to get me to the next checkpoint where I have a whole new tire?
Yeah. And then, and I've planned for that. And that's part of my strategy is like, if if I totally clap a tire, as
Yeah.
long as I don't clap a wheel, because I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna carry a spare wheel.
Yeah,
around with
but
you,
I'll.
right.
But again, if that happens, then I'm gonna be in the basically in the pit area where everybody and asking for a wheel.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I can borrow somebody's wheel.
Right. Somebody that maybe had to bounce out. Right.
Yep.
So, I think that's true. We were talking about this on the way back from Muleskinner about, that whole, because it's asking here about just terrified that you're not tough enough for the day. We were talking about, isn't it different how, when you do something for the first time, like Unbound, or you do these hard courses, and then it's like,
you don't know,
but you build this up in your head, and maybe it lived up and even surpassed everything you built up in your head, but you got it done, and you're like, oh my gosh, how much it took to get through that. And then when you go back to do it a second time, and you're just like, I know what it took, and I don't know if I have enough to make it to do that again. I know what I got it done.
I know what I have to do, but I don't think I have the strength to do it.
Right. I mean, that's exactly how it feels, and this will be start number 4 for each of us.
Yep.
And it's like, I know what it's taken to get through the 3 prior years, and
you still don't know if you're going to make it this year, and I still don't know if I'm going to make it.
I know, and that's why I think that's why I've been complaining to you. We're going to bring this back up. I think that's why I've been complaining to you so much on Rise lately, which I don't mean to, but it's like, it's just there. We offer therapy for each other. It's fine. But all kidding aside, like, it's seriously, it's like, I know how hard this race is. I know how hard this terrain is. I know how hard this distance is. And there's parts of me when I look at the preparation up to this point, the way that the plan has developed, like, there's all these things that go through the head where you're just like, I just don't know if it's there.
Yeah.
And here's one thing's for sure. When you get there, you'll find out.
Yep. Yeah, and you just keep going. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you can keep pedaling, you got to keep pedaling.
And that's why I've kind of just gotten back to the fact, it's like, hey, you know what? I've got a plan. I'm going to execute that plan as long as I can. Tires, equipment choices, gear choice, doesn't matter. All that stuff will be pushed to the side. I'm going to pedal that bike as far as I can, as fast as I can, for the pace that I think I can hold. And if I get... Here's one thing. I've never gotten done with a race going, man, I got done with that 200 miles and I feel like I should have went harder.
Yeah,
I've never finished a race feeling that way.
Yeah.
Not a 200-mile race.
No.
I've done that on 50-mile rides, but not a 200-mile ride. And so, I don't think that's going to happen, but, you get done and the time will be what it'll be. And that's the way it's going to work out. So.
Yeah. I always just think about, especially on the trainer when I don't have anything to really think about, I try to think about, like, how would I solve, this situation? Like, let's say I, flat a tire, what is the, do I have enough spares? Do I have enough, how am I going to carry my gear? All that kind of stuff I think about just when I'm kind of noodling on the trainer and not really thinking about anything else. And you just kind of come up with these scenarios and you try to think of your way to get out of them.
Yeah.
And I think that helps me more than, listening online to the best tire choice for Unbound.
For
I
sure.
just think, if you can come up with an answer to almost any situation that you can think of out there, besides a catastrophic failure, like if my frame breaks, I'm toast. I can't. I can't duct tape it back together.
Not usually.
It's not going to work. If I taco a wheel, it's like, okay, well, how far am I from an aid station?
Yeah.
Can I walk to the aid station?
Yeah.
Am I going to walk? Am I prepared to walk?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. And then when you get to the aid station, either somebody's going to have an extra wheel that you can borrow, or they won't.
And if they don't, then, at least I'd try. Again,
Give
like,
everything
you can't, unless you have, like, if you're using the, and this is Unbound specific, if you're using the crew for hire, they're not going to be taking a wheel for you.
Right.
Yeah. They're just taking a cooler with your stuff in it.
That's right.
Now, if you have your own support crew, you definitely could have...
You can have a whole new bike there.
Yeah.
But you can't have a new bike. You can have new wheels and all that, but you have to finish the race on the bike you started on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can't
have a new frame.
You can't swap the
everything
frame out.
else, fair game.
So, and I'm like, even then, I'm like, well, what if I break my derailleur? I'm like, well, I have a chain tool and all that stuff. I guess I'm riding single speed.
Yeah. I'll put it in the easiest gear and ride that. And then if I feel like that's not enough, then I'll get off and I'll shift it down to gear.
Exactly.
I'll wedge something in there to make it fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, again, I think the thing with Unbound, and to go back to what you were saying, is like the first time we didn't know if we were going to make it. And even now we don't know if we're going to make it.
That's right.
I think everybody who lines up wants to finish it. But again, if you finish it, consider yourself lucky, because it's so much can happen during the day that, you have to be prepared to not finish it.
Right. It's one of those, I think a lot of gravel racers are this way, but it's absolutely one of those types of events where it's like, I don't care if you finished in 10 hours or 20 hours. The fact that you finish it is a massive accomplishment.
Yep.
And it'd be like I would hate to compare it to a marathon, because, marathon, it's like most people could walk the entire marathon and still get it done.
Yep.
An ultra marathon, however, not so much. And I think that's why I would probably compare it more to an ultra. It's like, if you've accomplished completing an ultra, that's a massive accomplishment. And I think the 200 distance is the same thing. It's just one of those things. It's like, just like people with their 100 mile. Once you cross 100 miles, like, oh man, what an accomplishment. And you get to the 200, it's like, it's a whole other level.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah.
350 is a whole other level from that. So, which, by the way, real quick, we talked to a few folks doing the 350, and you talk about how much we wring our hands over tire choices, gear choices. What about those guys?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole different level of being prepared. I mean,
they're thinking about lights and what they're gonna do, if they're gonna sleep or
full
not
nutrition
sleep.
choices too, like the fact that I got to stop to a gas station and eat pizza or gas station food, stuff like that.
So I mean, again, it just comes into back to the basics of just feeling confident in your gear choices, and then having that plan, and then coming up with scenarios of, what do I do when that plan fails, or what do I do when the course dictates some alteration to that plan.
Yeah.
How do I respond?
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's it, man.
All right.
So, next week, 100th
the 100th episode, and I think it's going to line up where we get to do an Unbound, the 20th anniversary of Unbound route preview.
Yeah.
How about that?
That'll be great.
That start lining up for that one.
Right. So it's almost like we planned it. Just kidding. We didn't plan it at all.
I wish we were that good.
I wish we were that good too, but we're not. We're not that good. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. And again, thank you all for subscribing and talking to us at the races, and all your support. So Absolutely. Thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you later.